Welcome to Chaos on the Road, where the blame game is in full swing. Who is at fault when truck drivers are going broke, being fired, laid off, lose their homes, cars, families, file bankruptcy, and when trucking companies go bankrupt and close their doors? The answer is one and the same. Stay tuned to find out. At the heart of this turmoil, you'll find none other than our friends in the big rigs, the truckers. Now don't get me wrong, not all truckers are the villains of this tale. But the ones who lack common sense, responsibility, they're the ones stirring up a storm. The they cause isn't just about material damage. Lives are affected, families are shaken, and the ripple effects are felt far and wide. But wait, there's more. The chaos doesn't stop there. It permeates the very fabric of the trucking industry. Truckers are being laid off, jobs are lost, and companies are going under. And who's to blame? Well, ironically, the very same truckers who are now without jobs. That's right. By agreeing to work for less than their worth, accepting low wages, they've created a culture of cheap labor. They've made it easy for companies to sprout up and undercut each other, driving the industry into a sinkhole. All because they failed to stand up for themselves, to demand fair wages, to value their own worth. They became part of a bottom feeder pool that's now sinking fast. So the next time you hear about a trucker accepting less than their worth, remember the chaos starts there. But it doesn't end there. It spreads like a wildfire, engulfing everything in its path. Another crisis, all because of a trucker who can't be bothered to check their blind spot in terms of their own worth. That's where the blame begins. And unless something changes, that's where it'll continue to fester. But the chaos doesn't end there. Oh no, it's worse. The trucking industry is facing a massive upheaval, a tidal wave of layoffs that's sending shockwaves through the ranks of truckers nationwide. And the cause? Well, it's none other than the drivers themselves. Industry executives are pointing fingers, laying the blame squarely on the shoulders of the truckers. They argue that the drivers' recklessness, their lack of care, and their acceptance of low wages are driving the companies to the brink of bankruptcy. Our bottom line is suffering, says one executive. We're hemorrhaging money because of cheap labor that causes ripple effect. And the root of it all? The drivers who take on jobs for next to nothing, undercutting our business and our drivers, while driving us and others towards the edge. And it's not just the executives who are speaking out. Other drivers, the ones still clinging onto their jobs, echo these sentiments. They lament the low wages, the long hours, and the dangerous working conditions. But they too acknowledge that their acceptance of these terms is part of the problem. We're shooting ourselves in the foot, says one driver. By agreeing to work for peanuts, we're setting a precedent. We're telling the companies that it's okay to exploit us, to pay us less than we're worth. And that's leading to a race to the bottom that's hurting us all. The consequences of this chaos are clear. Layoffs are rampant, trucking companies are going under, and the trucking industry is in turmoil. All due to ignorance and stupidity of uneducated drivers. And yet, despite the dire situation, many drivers continue to accept low wages, effectively contributing to their own downfall and that of their own families. So, who's to blame for the chaos on the road? Who's responsible for the layoffs, the bankruptcies, and the decline of the trucking industry? Well, it's none other than the drivers themselves. It's not fair. We work hard, and this is how they repay us? Protests are sprouting like mushrooms after rain, with truckers banding together, picket signs held high, voices raised in unison against unfair treatment. Their grievances are many, but at the heart of it all is a simple plea: respect. Yet the industry's response? A shrug and a finger pointed squarely back at the truckers. They say it's the truckers who are to blame for their own predicament. That it's the truckers who agreed to be exploited, who settled for less than their worth, who undercut their own livelihoods. Now imagine this. A spotlighted stage, two figures locked in a passionate debate on a popular talk show. The topic? The trucking industry's decline and the role of truckers in it. One side is adamant. Absolutely, it's the truckers who agreed to work for low wages, willingly being part of a bottom feeder pool. They're the ones who are undercutting the industry, creating a race to the bottom with their willingness to be taken advantage of. The other side, just as fiery, counters, but isn't it the companies who create the conditions that force truckers to accept these low wages? Isn't it the industry that should be held accountable for this race to the bottom? A heated exchange, a war of words, and at the center of it all, the truckers. The ones who are on the road day in and day out, working tirelessly to keep our economy running, yet finding themselves blamed for the chaos on the road and the decline of their own industry. They're dragging us all down with them. So we're left with this question. Is it the truckers who are to blame for their current predicament? Or are they just ignorant pawns in a larger game and are unwilling to be educated? It's a vicious cycle of chaos and blame. Welcome to the fourth act of our journey into the turmoil that is the trucking industry. An industry that's spiraling down a drain of its own making, fueled by a cycle that's as relentless as it is damaging. Let's break it down. The cycle starts with truckers accepting low wages. Now you might think, hey, a job's a job, but hear me out. These low wages create a ripple effect. They undercut the industry's prevailing wages, making it easier for companies to offer less and less to their drivers. And here's where it gets interesting. Because truckers are willing to work for less, trucking companies can afford to hire more ignorant drivers. But remember, more ignorant drivers mean more questionable trucking companies that are undercutting each other freight rates. This is bad news for the trucking companies that are trying to do good by drivers. Insurance rates go up as well. Due to less than adequate drivers being on the road, reputations go down, and before you know it, even companies that were employing quality family men are staring at bankruptcy's doorstep. So, what do? They start laying off truckers, and just like that, we're back to square one. Truckers out of a job, accepting low wages, causing more issues, and the cycle continues. But here's the catch. This cycle isn't just hurting truckers and trucking companies. It's hurting all of us. It's hurting the economy, it's hurting the environment, and it's hurting the very fabric of our society. And the worst part, it's all avoidable. If truckers were to stop being ignorant, stand up for themselves, to demand fair and prevailing wages, to refuse to be a part of this bottom feeder pool, then maybe, just maybe, this cycle could be broken. If only they had some self-respect and cared about their families' futures, maybe we wouldn't be in this mess. But as long as this vicious cycle continues, the chaos on the road is here to stay. But there's still hope. As the dust settles on the chaotic highways and the cacophony of blame subsides, a glimmer of hope emerges on the horizon. This hope comes in the form of the very truckers who have been caught in the whirlwind of accusations and layoffs. For too long, truckers have been seen as the scapegoats, bearing the brunt of the blame for the troubles of an industry that has exploited them. But what if they were to take control of their destinies, to demand better and prevailing wages and conditions? What if they refused to be a part of the so-called bottom feeder pool and instead stood up for their worth and the worth of their families? Imagine a world where truckers are not seen as mere cogs in a corporate machine, but as individuals who command respect and fair compensation for their hard work like they used to, when their smarter older generation used to be drivers. This isn't just about demanding higher wages. It's about restoring dignity to a profession that's been undervalued and disrespected for ignorance and stupidity for far too long. So, can the truckers turn the tide? Can they break free from the chains of exploitation and blaze a path towards a fairer, more just industry? It certainly won't be easy. It will take courage, determination, and unity. But as we've seen time and again, when people band together for a common cause, they can move mountains. Do truckers have enough guts and value their families enough to make this change? Yes, the road ahead is long and fraught with obstacles, but with each passing mile, with each honk of the horn, the message becomes clearer. Truck drivers are the problem, big problem, but they are also part of the solution. Will the truckers rise up and demand the respect they deserve, or be a wet-tailed dog? Worse off, be a wet tail on a dry dog. Only time will tell. Calling all truckers, their families, and anyone who believes in fairness, justice, and respect. It's time to take action. This isn't just about truckers. It's about every single person who works hard for a living and deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. It's about doing what's right. So if you're a trucker, or know one, or simply believe in the cause, it's time to step up. Share this video. Spread the word. Use the power of social media, your personal networks, and gatherings to make your voice heard. Let people know about the plight of truckers and the need for change. It's not just about the trucking industry. It's about standing up for what's right, what's fair, and what's just. The ripple effect of your actions can spread awareness and bring about the change we so desperately need. So do your part, like this video, share it. Subscribe to our channel. Help us reach more people and make a difference. The YouTube algorithm favors videos that get engagement, So your likes, shares, comments, and subscriptions can help us reach more people and amplify our message. Let's band together and make a difference. Let the ripple effect take place. It's time for action, it's time for change, and it starts with you.